Um, Yesterday at the Big House, some person were discussing the Dolphin Park. What is your take on it, on the getting this park going? Do you think it's a worthwhile project?
Right now, we're asking solutions to that question. So there was a proposal to have done a Dolphin Park at Anjabet, which was received approval already. So I think the question as to whether we're going to have a parking solution or not, that question was already answered. I know for many years, in fact, when I was in my private life, my father was part of a group to be able to bring a Dolphin Park here. And what they couldn't find was a location. I encouraged the developers when they told me that they were having the feasibility of doing the park at Anjabet would be difficult, to look at Pigeon Island. Because Pigeon Island is a major asset that is grossly underutilized. Whether we have a Dolphin Park or not is very much in line with our national policy. So as you know, St. Lucia is part of the Whaling Association. Sustainable use of marine resources the government has. And I would like to think that we can proceed with the park. The intent was to manage the park, their assessment of the project. I'm not so sure what took place at the meeting amounts to that. I'm disappointed that any investor would come to this country and be treated the way that the investor was treated. But the decision continues because we still have to deal with what the facts are. Is there an environmental impact on having a Dolphin Park next to Pigeon Island? Is it going to cause any damage to the park? Those are the questions that have to be answered, not whether in fact we're going to have a park. That's not for the National Trust to make that determination.
Just another question. The former MP for Grosley, she had a meeting, I think it was Saturday, and she made reference to a statement made by Minister Matou saying that 90% of the nice holders were SLP. And she's saying that you are basically endorsing the statement instead of, correcting the minister on that. What is your position on that? Because the whole thing is not to politicize this.
Well, then if you don't want to politicize it, do it the right way. So any government has to try to be transparent. I know how difficult that is. I try to be as transparent as we can, and we still get criticized. So I understand that's the nature of the beast. But how do you have a program that you're going to spend $20 million a year on, in which the project is managed out of the Prime Minister's office? Does that make sense to you? Okay? That the person who heads it up is only accountable to the Prime Minister. That none of the people are employed come be part of public service. So to protect solutions, to make sure that there isn't the allegations of politicization, is not to say that you can't have labor rights being hired through the Public Service Commission, but it's more transparent. So you have a situation where 1,100 people were being employed, in which one person was making the decision. And then to make matters worse, the people were given a contract for a year. You can't go to the bank to borrow any money. You can't make any long-term commitments on that process, and the contract is only being renewed for every single year. And then you tell me that the virtues of the project are to create short-term employment to allow people to get their foot wet. And yet 90% or 85% of the people that got the contract in year one are the same people who have the contract by year 3. Does that make sense? So when you break it down from that perspective, then the minister is right in making his allegations. What is it that the Labour Party did in order, because this is not the first time that allegation has been made. That allegation was made from day one. What did they do to try to be able to change that? Did they put a panel in place of objective people and say, okay, if it's not going to be through the Public Service Commission, here's a panel that's going to determine who's being hired and whether they merit getting the job or not?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.